Amendment says that we can protest and call on our government to redress grievances. These folks are telling Donald Trump that if he tries to move out on his plan to have a deportation squad to harm Americans, and if he tries to do that, we're going to be there to stand and say no.
That was Congressman Keith Ellison this morning defending the anti-Trump protesters and the concerns motivating them, with deportation being one of the most immediate fears shared by those now protected by President Obama's Deferred Action Program. Joining me now is Victoria DeFrancesco, a professor at the University of Texas and an MSNBC contributor. Let's dig right in. Victoria, do you believe these fears are valid?
Absolutely. There's a lot of fear in the Hispanic community right now. Two levels of fear. I think for those persons who have undocumented persons in their family, the fear is at a fever pitch. I was just talking to a friend of mine, a high-level municipal official in Los Angeles, and she was telling me that families are afraid for their kids to go to school, that they're not taking their kids to school because they're afraid that there might be dragnets when they go to pick up the kids from school. So there's this tangible fear that we're already seeing just days after the election. And I also know that folks who are dreamers are also feeling that immediate fear of what happens to their status on January 21st after President Donald Trump comes into office.
I want to follow up on what you just said, but let me add Senator Bernie Sanders' comments and his remarks onto this. These fears in a recent New York Times op-ed. He said, quote, "Look, I am deeply distressed to hear stories of Americans being intimidated and harassed in the wake of Mr. Trump's victory, and I hear the cries of families who are living in fear of being torn apart. Rest assured, there is no compromise on racism, bigotry, xenophobia, and sexism. We will fight it in all its forms whenever and wherever it reemerges," end quote. Here's the thing. We heard, Senator Sanders, and you just talked about Congressman Ellison, as we heard earlier. What are we going to do? I mean, but moving forward, are you gearing up for this fight over immigration already? I mean, he's not president yet.
Right. So I think you see a couple of different strategies here. You see a grassroots-based strategy where organizations are saying, we will protest, we will keep in the streets, we will keep our voice heard continually. And then you see the more governmental approach, where you're seeing cities saying, say Democratic cities or cities that have friendlier policies toward immigrants, saying, what can we do with our municipal laws? And then also at the state level, what can we do with our state-based legislation to protect undocumented persons, to protect dreamers, or to protect immigrant families? So I think you're going to see a range of responses within the Latino community, and ultimately the eye on the prize is going to be 2 years, 4 years from now in seeing someone at the top of the ticket who can better protect Latinos at the national level.
There's been so much talk of unity. Does President-elect Trump have any real hope of uniting Americans after alienating so many of them through this, his campaign rhetoric?
Well, that is the hope, and within that fear, you do see some folks saying, I am hoping, I am praying to God that what he said was just rhetoric to get him elected, that it was just him trying to be angry and get folks mobilized by anger. But once he gets into office, he's going to tone down. So we do see some cautious optimism among some components of the Latino community, but the fear is still pervasive, whether it's that flat-out panic that we're seeing in some families or that fear of saying, I really, really hope he doesn't do what he said. It's across the board, Chanel.
And here's the challenge with that rhetoric. A surge in hate crimes, has been reported by the Southern Poverty Law Center since Trump's victory. How do you explain this? And is this a reflection of what lies ahead in the next 4 years?
I hope not, but I fear that at least in the short term, we probably will see that. We see two groups of persons in this country that are very frustrated. On the one side, we see Trump supporters frustrated by the Obama administration, and now we're seeing Latinos and folks who did not support Trump frustrated as well, and it's coming to a head. So I think that the next couple of months are so critical in a Trump administration for him to try to unite both of these groups together, saying to his supporters, let's calm down, let's roll up our sleeves, let's get to work, and telling those folks who did not vote for him, I am your president, and I am going to work to better this country for all and not keep to that divisive nature that got him elected.
And finally, I have to talk about the fact that exit poll data suggests that President-elect Trump landed almost 1/3 of the Latino vote. That's in stark contrast to the Democrats' expectations. Where did the Democrats miss the mark? And then what do you hear from Latinos who voted for Trump?
Sure. Well, Shana, one thing. So we saw that exit polls had Latinos voting for Trump at 29%. However, we do see two of the main reputable Latino pollsters come out and challenge that. Latino Decisions had Latino turnout at 18% for Trump, and the Pew Research Center had Latinos turning out at 19%. So I'm resting more at that 20% mark. But nevertheless, you would think, why are Latinos coming out to vote for Trump after the campaign he ran? And quite frankly, the same reason a lot of white supporters came out for Trump, because he had that perspective of, we've got to improve our economic situation, we've got to turn the corner, I want to change things for you. So I think you did see a lot of economic optimism among those Latinos that voted for Trump.
Victoria DeFrancesco, good discussion. Thank you for talking with me today.